Hello, women of the Channel Leadership Network. My name is Jackie Rives, your community leader, and welcome to another WOW interview. Our Woman of the Week is Karen Newnam, Senior Director, America's Channel Marketing for Nutanix. Hi, Karen. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Jackie. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for being here with us. If you're okay with it, we're going to dive into a couple of questions just to get to know you a little bit better. So where do you live now, and where did you grow up, if that's different?
Yeah, absolutely. I live in Navy Yard in Washington, D.C. Absolutely fun and vibrant and fabulous part of the city.
That's cool. Did you grow up there too?
I did not. I'm from Norfolk, Virginia, which is southeastern Virginia, really big Navy town, very small when it comes to IT industry. So I'm definitely more in the middle of things in Washington.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I lived in DC for a very short time while I was in the Army. So
wow,
very familiar
awesome.
with the area, and I loved my time there. So
Yeah, it's super fun. Good stuff.
what is a little known fact about you?
Oh, goodness gracious. A little known fact. So I actually used to produce music and dance. So before I got into IT, I was actually in the arts and academia.
That's so cool. I love that. That took me by surprise.
Yay!
That's why we love those questions, because you never know what you're going to find out. Very cool. Okay. Tell me about your career path and how you reached this position.
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of gave you the where I'm from, right? I spent my 20s teaching college and producing music and dance and doing all sorts of crazy things. And ended up in advertising, selling ads to the director of an IT reseller. And when she moved on and I saw her job was open, I was like, I can do that. I have a degree in marketing. So I, put on a suit and went through 8 interviews and got an amazing job as the director of marketing for a pretty large reseller in Virginia. And so 20 years later, I'm on the vendor side, but it's been a really fun experience of spending time on the partner side, working with vendors, managing vendor relationships, running marketing, really understanding their pain, and then going to the vendor side with a couple different vendors working with partners. And then I also had an amazing stint at the channel company working on partner demand. So I've really spent the last 20 years focused on how many different views of the partner experience can I have so that when I'm working with partners, I'm able to bring a more intimate knowledge of their needs into that equation. So I've worked as a channel marketing manager, regionally and nationally, and I've had a lot of great experience building channel programs from the ground up, sales, operations, marketing infrastructure. How do I build a global program? How do I create a global infrastructure? And then was really excited to be able to come to Nutanix and focus on the Americas and how do we build that thriving ecosystem here. So it's been a lot of fun.
I love that. That's like a full circle, and it gives you a unique capability, as you said, like understanding the, pain points and the outcomes that they might need. That's pretty awesome. Can you tell us how you differentiate yourself?
Yeah, so those are pretty linked together, right? So, and it's interesting because when I'm looking to hire folks, I don't restrict it to that, but I think there's something to be said for knowing what it's like on the other side of the table, right? So if you're going to go to work for a partner and you can say, hey, I've worked for this big vendor, I know what they're looking for. I know how to differentiate ourselves as a partner. I understand how they want MDF to be used. I understand how those relationships work. Or on our side, hey, I can work with your partners and relate to what they're going through. So for me, you have to be sincere and you have to understand, but being able to sit down at a table with partner executives and understand, right? I think being in the channel is about being a diplomat more than anything, right? I work for Nutanix. I have to have Nutanix's best interest in mind. But I also know that that means the partners have to want to work for us. So it's this idea of how do I balance what I know it takes for a partner to want to work with us to what I know it takes for Nutanix to be successful. Work from home. So we were talking about, yeah, being able to balance, right? Being able to balance the partner's needs, your company's needs. I think that having a view from both sides of the table helps you do it. It doesn't mean you don't do that otherwise. I think in the channel, we all get adept at how do I balance the needs of the company and the needs of the partner, and the partner needs to love your product and be able to make money and want to do business with you for them to do that. But at the same time, you have to balance. And I think being able to say, I get it, I've been there. Like everything that's making you angry, I've been angry about, right? If not at Nutanix, that's somebody else. So I think that that is part of that differentiation for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. I mean, people really appreciate it when you can really appreciate where they're coming from and that you have their best interest at heart.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. What is something you've learned that you wish you knew early in your career?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things. I always talk about decades. I'm going to sound really old, but like the decade where my focus was not to take things personally. So that's a big thing, right? It's business. Don't take things personally. The decade before that was how to say no. If I say yes to everything, it's not going to be effective. I think that, so I would say, I'm not giving you one answer. It's three things I've been working on. One is saying no, under promise, over deliver. Saying no helps you do that. But also on my team, we don't say no, we say no and, right? So we've learned to do that. So that way won't work. And we've got this other way that will. So, really doing that. Not taking things personally. Some people don't like you, whatever, right? Like, I want you to respect me. I hope you like me because I'm a human and I want to be liked. But the whole concept of, if you respect me and you believe in my vision, then we can get work together, even if you don't like me. And I can respect people who I might not like outside of work. I think that's important. So not taking things personally. And then the other thing that's really big for me is I get super passionate about things, and it's really being more nuanced in my communication. So I'm not isolating people. So I'll work with young women who I see are me 10 or 15 years ago. And I'll be like, oh, we've got to win people over. And it's not, oh, smile more. It's not that whole talk track, smile to be liked and don't be stern. I think we have to be women in the workplace. We have to be stern when we need to be stern, but I think understanding your audience and being nuanced in your communication, those for me are three big things that I try to work with the women I mentor on.
Amazing. I know that that's going to resonate with many of our listeners. Okay. What has driven you to continue to grow in your leadership roles?
Yeah, good question. So I think for me, I love a challenge. I also love working with people and growing people. And I think those things are always in the back of my mind. Am I having an impact? If I'm not having an impact, why am I doing this? But I think when you're a leader, that impacts not only on the organization, but it is on the people who you want to lead. And I think the biggest key for me has been a focus on introspection, understanding where I need to grow, being comfortable saying, I messed up. This is how I want to fix it. I'm sorry. Like owning my stuff because we all have it, and understanding what level of transparency is appropriate. I mean, there are always things, depending on where you are, that you can't share. But there are things that you can share and that are appropriate to share. And I feel like as a leader, I've hit my groove the last 5 years or so, where I feel like finally I have something to share and I want to share it. And I think that being able to take constructive feedback from those you lead, being able to give constructive feedback in the good intention of the betterment of everybody has really helped me to grow. So I think it's about, people have to want to follow you or you're not going to grow. And if you can have that impact on people and get that confidence, I think you earn and are given leadership opportunities. But it's all about, I have to earn it. And if nobody wants to follow me, if I'm like the best with spreadsheets and I'm a supermarketer and all that stuff, that's great. Maybe I should still be an individual contributor. So you have to want it, because it's not easy, but you also have to earn it. And that means by doing it over and over, by making mistakes, apologizing for those mistakes, working to better yourself. I think for me, that's definitely helped me grow.
I love that you bring up to be accountable for our mistakes, and just being transparent about that and letting our listeners know that that's okay. That's how we learn and grow. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like you could almost say you're not growing or learning if you aren't going to make a couple of mistakes along the way.
And it's heavy, right? I agree with you. And it's heavy. Like I can't pinpoint times, but I remember times earlier in my career where I made a mistake, right? And you're like, what do I do? Do I tell someone? Do I fix it? And you go home that day from work and you feel heavy. And all of a sudden the stress multiplies and you're wondering what, we've all done it. I've done it. And there's something about when you finally get it out, you're like, oh, so that feeling when you realize I can just say that now and people are going to trust me more because I admitted it, and I can shut my computer off and now I can relax because there is nothing to hide. And I feel like saying that to your boss is one thing that's important, but saying that to the people you lead is more important, and it gives them a pass to make mistakes. I think it was the big thing for a long time, fail fast, let's all fail fast. Well, if your culture doesn't allow for mistakes and communicating mistakes, nobody's going to fail fast. Nobody wants to fail. But I think that, and folks will laugh, I always say this, but I always think about the art and science of marketing. And the science of marketing is we make a hypothesis, we make an educated guess. It's a guess. If it doesn't work, you say it doesn't work and you correct it. Now that's why we do pilots. We don't invest $1 million in a hypothesis, right? Maybe we invest 20,000. But I think that's the science of marketing, right? The art is the creative piece and all of that. But the science is we have to allow ourselves to make mistakes to get to the right answer. And there's this amazing freedom in saying, I don't know, but I'll get back to you. Or I made this decision, it was wrong. I just had a great one-on-one with an employee, and I'm doing some arranging in the department. And I was like, hey, I really think I want to shift you off of this. And I kind of left it at that. And the next day she was like, hey, can we talk? Sure. Look, I don't really want you to shift me off of that. And already I'm like, but I kept my mouth shut and I listened, and she was right. If you leave me here, I have this view into this piece of the business I would never have. And this is how I could provide value. And I just sat there and I was like, I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. I'm not going to move you. I was wrong. I didn't understand the value you were provided. And thank you for being introspective and bringing that to me. And I love that interaction because I learned something. Like, don't make those decisions without talking to this person. You might be missing the picture, and oh, I was wrong, and okay, so let's fix it, right?
Yeah, I absolutely love it. That last question was, how do you define successful leadership? But you've answered that like in so many different ways. And I really cannot thank you enough for giving us your time today and sharing your authentic self with all of us. I know that your message will resonate with our listeners. And again, thank you so much. And thank you for being so chill about Callie wanting to say hi to my poor mail delivery.
No, thank you for the opportunity. I love this community. I love the leadership group I'm in. I love everything you all really do to boost up women of the channel. So thanks for having me.
All right, ladies, until next time, have a wonderful Wednesday, and thank you for tuning in. Please give Karen a shout out for giving us her time today. Have a great day.
Thanks. Take care.